And away we go. It is another nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com, brought to you by our friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get yourself some delivery or stop in down in Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% off of your order of golden doodles. That still cracks me up. Look at those golden doodles. That's how big the chicken fingers were in the picture that somebody sent me.
They were that.
That's perfectly fried, perfectly crispy, right? And chicken. The best chicken, second best chicken in the city, second best chicken sandwich in the city. I think they brought the sandwich back. They're doing the little baller, which is like the sandwich.
I saw they were advertising
in a PBR for $11. That's a great deal. And then you pump it up, you get 15% off.
You'd be super full.
So we talked about this on the BBP tonight, and to peel the curtain back, that's a very popular phrase in sports media these days.
Sure. People like to see how the sausage is made.
There's not going to be a ton of stuff organically to talk about in May. We've gotten through the draft. We've gotten through basketball finalizing the roster. We've gotten through, for the most part, football finalizing the roster. If they're, the portal window is closed in football and basketball right now. So anyone that transfers that's not already in the portal would be subject to sitting out a year. So May, we will pick back up, trust me. June, July, once football recruiting is back in full swing and basketball recruiting as the coaches are back on the road. There's going to be plenty to talk about this summer. But May, everybody's finally getting to take a breath from what was a very busy year in UC athletics. So what we're going to do here on this show, instead of reaching and trying to pull content out of thin air, we're going to take this opportunity, take a step back, and analyze the rosters of both the football team and the basketball team. The plan is to do it position by position. Basketball, we'll see. There's a little more ambiguity in basketball with positions and roles and whatnot and what have you. But with football, it's pretty easy. What you see is what you get. Where guys line up is where they line up. So we're going to just go position by position and make no mistake. If there's days where there is news, we will talk about the news. But on the days where the news is a little lacking, we're going to fall back on this.
Are we doing just ones and twos, or are we doing the whole depth chart?
We're just looking at the roster, like where the roster is at.
Okay.
I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, we've done the depth chart. We've talked about all those things. Mm-hmm. I think it's fair to get kind of a full look at the roster.
I agree.
Where things stack up going into summer.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Yes, that is the intention. Ones and twos, I think we're beating a dead horse on that. We've talked about that at a lot of these positions. So
gives you a look at the future too, if you aren't familiar with the recruiting classes and what have you. So.
And some of that's going to get even more interesting in June when these kids start showing up. The freshmen start showing up and impacting this roster like a Mario Eugenio. Like, what if he comes in and has the type of, off season or summer that UC looks as they're looking for an edge rusher and says, oh, might be able to get this guy in the field early.
And as we're going to talk about this position, I wouldn't be shocked if, I don't think he'll play a snap this season. I'm very, very curious to see what Luther Richardson looks like.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with quarterback. I gave Aaron the opportunity. We could start on the other side and work our way to quarterback, or we could just start with quarterback because that's what everybody wants to talk about. And in order to get people hyped up about the nightcap kind of going in a different direction for this month at times, we'll start at the top.
And I chose this also because it kind of coincides with the article that Mo Egger wrote this week as he did
Yes.
kind of compare Ben Bryant and Evan Prater.
So here we are. I've talked about this a lot. You've seen a couple practices. You saw the
Mhm.
spring game.
Mhm.
The top of the roster, Evan Prater versus Ben Bryant.
Mhm.
The coaches have a fascinating summer ahead of them as these two battle. We have talked about it many times. I think we walk out of the spring with the two guys pretty even going into the summer. And the coaches are going to have one hell of a decision on their hands as we lead up to what happens in Arkansas, to kick off the season.
So obviously you can't really measure the intangibles, right? And that's why they're intangibles. So we don't know what the experience. I mean, Ben Bryant has 13 games under his belt, 3,121 yards under his belt, 14 touchdowns at EMU as a starter there. I mean, that's you can't see that during practice per se.
Right.
Ben or Evan Prater potentially is your future for if he starts this season for the next 3 seasons.
Right. Although
There's
Ben
some
Bryant,
guys,
because of COVID, also has 2 years. Like this is not necessarily strictly a Ben
One and
Bryant
done.
is a 1 year, he's got 1 year remaining. I think if you're Ben Bryant, your thought process is come in, be awesome, win a bunch of games, go to the NFL draft, right? Like he has paid his dues. He has done, this will be his 5th year of college. I'm sure that would be in a perfect world, his perfect world. This is Evan Prater's year 3 in college. I'm sure he'd love nothing more. Come in, be awesome. And if not ready for the draft this year, then certainly win the job, stake your claim, and then by next year, be trying to target your way into am I a draftable quarterback in the NFL?
Sure, absolutely.
Again, that's just me like always reminding people how the people that we talk about think, right? They think in terms of I want to be a pro. I want to play in the NFL. It is why we spent so much time talking about why the draft weekend was so big for Cincinnati, right? Like that's what these guys want. They all love playing for Cincinnati. They all love wearing the C-ball. They all represent at a level that, you have to be proud of. But they all want what we all want with our lives, right? Go get that money, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just going to be it's a very difficult decision that I do not
Yeah.
envy one single iota of whether it's Gino's call, whether it's Luke's call. I'm not really sure.
It's always Luke's call.
Okay.
You don't sit in the big office with the big chair and let other people make calls, right?
And I'm sure Gino has some input in it, but
sure,
yeah.
everybody makes decisions with assistance from the people they pay to help them with decisions,
Right.
but the decision is ultimately going to be made from the big office in the 7th floor of the Linder Center.
And I guess the ramifications, though, for the decision, as Mo kind of hinted around, are the fact that this could potentially deter transfers from coming to Cincinnati if you don't go. And who knows what kind of discussions were had before Ben Bryant came to Cincinnati. We kind of have a pretty good idea.
Compete for the job,
right?
Like
we have a pretty good idea that Luke doesn't make promises to anyone,
right?
But that said, like that, it could potentially deter a transfer. Not that there's a big, long-standing record for that, and like he doesn't have a track record for that, so I don't know. You also could be potentially shunning a hometown hero, 4-star, highest recruited kid you've ever had. It's a delicate dance to try and decide who's going to be your starter.
Yeah, but you're not shunning anything, right? You opened the competition, and
it's probably not the right word choice. Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. I mean, I know Prater could feel a certain type of way if the decision is to not go with him.
Yeah,
and I know they talk very glowingly of one another right now as they're going.
Well, but those two are close. Like they have always been close.
They've been around each other for years at this point.
Right.
So, like I said,
it's fascinating. It is a fascinating thing. Now there are other this is not a 2-person deal, right?
Right.
There's still a guy that actually had a really good spring.
He had a fantastic spring game.
Yeah, in Brady Lichtenberg.
Mm-hmm. Known for his arm.
A really good. Yeah.
But he known for his arm, he was running all over the place in a fashion that I was not prepared for visually. I did not think that he was going to be the guy that was kind of running around and juking people, and he's certainly faster than I ever anticipated.
That's fair. He's definitely more athletic than his reputation. When you think of, he was labeled a pocket passer.
Yes. So
when you think of pocket passer, you think of slow. Like that's how our brains work, right?
Well,
like if
he's
a dual threat, if he's any athleticism at all, he's a dual threat, right? That's how we think.
Right. You picture like a Joe Flacco or a Ben Roethlisberger just lumbering around like.
Right. Yeah. That's not necessarily always the case, but that's the stereotype in our mind. If you're thinking pocket passer, big, slow, unathletic, he is not that. As we've talked about multiple times, the week before the spring game, they had the captain's breakfast, and then after, those guys were all down on the field watching, and I was standing around with Zach Caleros and Craig Carey and Tom DeTemple and that crew, and every time Lichtenberg was on the field, you could see Caleros like, who's that guy? Why is he making so many plays? Like, that guy's got a big arm. Guy can move around a little bit. Kind of remind. Does he play baseball? Is it where? But they're kind of from the same area. Got a little of that steel mill, Northern Ohio toughness to him. But I think that you have to consider, if not this year, like Lichtenberg is going to be a factor for this thing because he throws a good ball. He seems to really understand quarterback. Like he's a guy that he definitely, while maybe not improved his profile to the point of competing for the starting job this year, definitely took a step forward this spring with the staff in terms of his ability to compete long-term to be Cincinnati's quarterback.
Absolutely. And I mean, at the end of the day, when you're talking about a guy who was not given the competition ahead of him, was not going to crack the top two, that's all you really want from a guy who's coming in as your number 3, is a guy who's looking like he's on his way to preparing to compete for this job.
And then this summer, in comes a guy that everybody's really high on.
I can't wait for this.
Luther Richardson shows up. He has a rocket for an arm. He's also more athletic than people kind of give him credit for. Yeah. He's been trained well
by his
dad, who was the strength and conditioning coach for the Denver Broncos for a while. Kind of by his high school football coach, a guy named Trent Dover, who took a few snaps in the NFL.
Yeah, maybe the I don't know how to properly say this. Maybe the worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
But you know what?
Still got that ring.
Still got that ring. Still gets to throw the hand up with the ring on it. So he's going to absolutely make this even more interesting as we get, like, now we'll be almost looking at 2 quarterback battles, right? We'll be looking at Prater and Bryan at the top, and then watching Lichtenberg and Richardson
competing for third string, right?
Yeah. If I had to guess, the way that this normally works, you want your third string guy to still get some live reps. So unless he comes in and is just unbelievable in camp, Richardson's probably going to be the scout team quarterback, I would guess. But guess what?
Stranger things
Des
have happened.
Ritter was the scout team quarterback and went 1 year later from scout team quarterback to starting quarterback. So it's not a complete cap on your career arc. So
I'm just trying to.
That's a really good room. That's a really good room, right? Really comfortable room right now.
I'm just trying to picture Luther Richardson slinging it to. I mean, we only got to see him slinging it to other guys who were at the summer camp.
Other high school recruits.
For
right?
high school recruits, yeah. Right. Now, granted, one of them went to a Big Ten school. Pretty good.
And that was the guy that when he was throwing it to that guy, we were all like, oh, man, those two could be.
Yeah.
Those two could be something here.
But yeah, I can't wait to see. I mean, because you got to consider who's he going to be throwing it to, even if he's 4th string. I mean, he's still going to have
Quincy Burrows, who's been a monster on the track this year.
Mm-hmm. JoJo.
Well, JoJo's
potentially
injuries are potentially got to get him right.
Yeah. Marcus Peterson.
Will Pauling, like some of those type of guys will still be around catching passes. Just out Blue Smith. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a wealth of talent for those guys to throw to. So that part of it is going to be just as fun if you're looking big picture as what's going on with Evan and Ben. And I think we all are just excited to see, like, what's Luther look like in a college type setting? What's he look like reading a defense? What's he look like? Because he has, he has the pedigree, he has the training.
Yeah. On paper, he's got everything you would ever want.
He flicks a 50-yard bomb like it's just meant to come out of his hand. You were standing there with me when he threw that touchdown pass, and we both looked at each other and went,
effortless.
He took 2 drop back steps and then comfortably, yeah. And it didn't look like he put any strain on it at all.
I don't even think he was sweating.
60-yard touchdown.
I don't even think he was sweating when he was done with all of the passing drills.
Yeah, you talked to him right afterwards.
Yeah. I don't recall him sweating.
Yeah. He was like, what's up, bro?
Unreal.
So exciting in the quarterback room. And that starts off what we're going to do in May, which includes, and we can mix it up. We can throw basketball in one night if we're feeling that, football in one night. I don't want to have any type of like offense, defense, rhyme or reason to this. I think we'll just hop on and I'll be like, all right, what do we feel like? What do we feel like talking about tonight? And we'll present it to you that way.
Sure.
So we're going to try to get through all of football and all of basketball as we go through May. That was night 1, quarterback. So we'll see you next time. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!